For most of us, there's no doubt that bar chords are by far the biggest stumbling block initially on the road to becoming a good all-round guitar player. They really are something of a mixed blessing though. On the one hand, there's no doubt that holding down and playing a clean bar chord is very physically demanding. Also, I've got to be honest with you and say that even after years of playing guitar professionally, playing rhythm guitar on a long song that involves nothing but bar chords is still really hard work. To that degree, the problem never goes away. But on the other hand, there really are some benefits in learning bar chords. Playing bar chords immediately helps you access all kinds of sounds on the guitar that you simply can't play otherwise. For example, right away you can play songs in other than the keys of G, C, D and A. Just by learning the 6 basic bar chord shapes that we cover in this lesson, together with learning how to name those shapes, will give you 72 new chord shapes. Probably 72 more than you started with at the beginning of the lesson. But there's another, perhaps less obvious reason why it's really worthwhile making the effort to push through the bar chord learning barrier. Bar chords have a distinct advantage over open chords. Let's show you what we mean by this. This is because when you play an open chord, like A for example, I'm really with my left hand only in charge of these 3 strings that my fingers are actually on. I can relax those fingers and it'll stop those 3 strings from sounding, but not these. Those will go on ringing. So while open chords are quite good for that kind of open, clangy, ringy sound on the guitar, if you want to play rhythms with a more clear sort of stop-start sort of definition, you've got to use a completely different shape to mute the chord. You have to play it and then grab, you know, the whole 6 strings like that. And that really is hard work if you want to get a kind of a reggae rhythm or something together, compared to using a bar chord. If I play the A bar chord, I've got all 6 strings controlled by this one finger. So I can turn the sound on just by clamping the strings against the frets, and I can immediately turn the sound off just by relaxing the finger, allowing the strings to come off the frets. And that gives me much better definition. This level of control is absolutely essential for playing a whole range of rhythmic styles. For example, like reggae, ska, funk music. So reggae rhythms, for example. Ska rhythms. And funk rhythms. These are all things you can't really play with open chords. Using bar chords also enables you to slide chords up and down the fretboard. And this is a vital component of rhythms such as the old Bo Diddley beat. Or J.J. Cale's Cocaine. of open chords. This control factor has other applications too numerous to mention. But I hope that this little demonstration whets your appetite and encourages you to invest the necessary effort to overcome the mental and physical difficulties associated with learning bar chords, so that you too break through the bar chord barrier. So first, let's show you how to attack the physical aspect of playing bar chords. Now, the basic problem that we have with bar chords is that we have to hold down up to 6 strings with just one index finger. Now, if we take a close look at this finger, you will see that on the face of the finger you've got these grooves where the joints of the finger are. So for most of us, putting the finger sort of flat against the fretboard doesn't work too well, because at least some of the strings are going to kind of fall into these grooves. That means the pressure on those strings is less than on the others, and they won't be held against the fret so well, and you'll get this sort of effect. Some of those notes are clean, but some of them are distinctly dead. And those are the ones that are sort of falling into those grooves. So for most people, it's better to work slightly round from the flat on the sort of edge of the finger. Probably not sort of 90 degrees round, but something like 45, halfway between the flat and the edge. There's a nice flat area for most of us, which tends to give a better result. So that's the first thing. You need to kind of get your finger on the fretboard and practice rotating it to see which angle gives you the best result. But we have to do this in combination with another parameter, another variable if you like, which is how far up the finger sticks above the fretboard. Again, for most of us, the finger should protrude generally something like 10 millimeters or half an inch above the fretboard here. But that will vary from person to person. Some people have their fingers slightly further down, some considerably further up. Maybe as much as an inch poking out above the fretboard there. So you have to kind of experiment with varying these two factors, how far up the finger is and how far around it's rotated, and really just see how many clean notes out of 6 that you get. That's pretty bad. That's a little bit better. All the while, keep a good counter effort going with your thumb at the back of the fretboard. Your thumb should be something like no further than an inch away from where the finger is, so that it's enabling you to sort of squeeze the fretboard between finger and thumb. It's a kind of a pincer movement, if you like. Okay, so experiment a little bit with that and see if you can find the best possible approach in terms of rotation and how far up the finger is sticking. So once you've worked out your best possible approach for your particular size and shape of finger, then try and carry out this exercise on a regular basis. All I'm doing is placing my finger at the bottom fret here in the position I've decided gives me the best possible result, and then I'm testing it by playing each string slowly and listening to it. I'm going to give myself 3.5 out of 6 for that one. Move it up a fret, clamp, try again. That was closer to a 5 out of 6. There's a 6 out of 6. To 5 there. So I'm just listening to see how well I'm doing, and carry on with that exercise all the way up. About this speed. It's not an exercise where there's any benefit in doing it too fast. Notice I'm beginning to fall off again there. Down at about 4 out of 6. It's a bit higher up the fretboard. That's about as far as I'm ever going to try and play a bar chord. So up to about fret 14 on the electric guitar, maybe fret 10 or 12 on the acoustic guitar. So use that exercise little and often. It's both a physical exercise in that you'll be training your muscles and strengthening them, but it's also just an accuracy exercise. That's why it's so important to listen to see how you're doing. You'll naturally make minute little changes that will help clean up those sounds. If you're getting 3 out of 6 to begin with, that's pretty good. Don't be discouraged. 3 out of 6 isn't bad. Any less than that, then really try moving around your position and improving on it. 3 out of 6 or better, and just keep doing the exercise, and before long you'll be finding you'll routinely be getting 5 or 6 out of 6, and that's well good enough. The second part of blasting through the bar chord learning barrier is the mental task of learning how to name bar chords. And the first essential skill to help with that is a thorough understanding of the chromatic scale. Now, if you don't already have that, then after you've completed this lesson, I strongly recommend going over to lesson 8.2, which is a lesson on the chromatic scale, and then if necessary go to the guitar gym section of the site and do lesson 8.3 on chromatic chanting. After completing those 2 lessons, you'll never have any problem with the chromatic scale ever again, I promise. Okay, now the second thing we need to do is get to know or remind ourselves about the following 6 open chord shapes. E major, E minor, E seventh, A major, A minor, and A seventh. So this is how bar chords are named. We take our basic chord shape, in this case E, but you'll notice that instead of playing it as normal with my 3 strong fingers, I've switched to using my 3 weaker fingers, freeing up my first finger to act as a bar. So then I can slide that shape up a fret and stick the bar down behind to make the next shape, and so on. Now, because I'm using an E shape, I'm going to find the root note of that chord, the note after which the chord is named, on the E string. E shape, E string.